A very good morning to all the students of class 12 political science. And students, from this lecture and this class we are going to start the new chapter of your new revised syllabus. And I am always using the term new revised syllabus. We have to study according to that new syllabus. Of course we have to follow the NCERT book, but certain topics have been deleted and certain topics have been added. So you need to keep in mind, and I have already sent you the new syllabus. So chapter 5, but in the book if you see your NCERT, this is chapter number 6. That is international organization. This used to be the older name that is in your NCERT book, but now as the name and the title of the chapter has been updated, and it is United Nations and its organization. Otherwise the content is same. As under the international organization we have to study about United Nations as an international and the most important international organization. Only the title has been changed, so we will continue with this chapter. Only the name has been changed. So very first question which has been there in your NCERT book is why international organization? Why do we need an international organization when we talk about the sovereignty? If we talk about the democracy, so we are independent countries around the world. So why do we need a common platform like the international organization? When we are talking, we have an international organization, that is United Nations. Then why we need United Nations as a common platform where various countries are coming and they are trying to solve the various global issues around the world, maybe relating to any war and peace or various conflicts relating to the global issues which has impact all over the world on all the countries. And currently, as we know, there are around 193 members of United Nations. That all we will be discussing it. But the first question was why international organization. So I have just written 3 points. There are many points I will be discussing and I will be telling you. So the first is to help in matters of war and peace. The most important thing where the world realized that we need a common platform where the various members of the various countries can come and they can have discussions and disputes and they can have negotiations over the disputes, maybe relating to our boundary issues or their internal problems. All that can be discussed when we will have a common platform where we can get a solution to various issues around the world. That is why we thought that we needed this United Nations, and in the beginning only 51 members had signed the Charter of United Nations, but currently if you see there are 193 members in this United Nations. All that we will be discussing: how many are permanent, how many are non-permanent, what is General Assembly, what is Security Council of United Nations. That all will come under the organs of United Nations. But here we are just taking the general introduction. So we require international organizations like United Nations where we can help to solve the matters relating to war and peace around the world, as so we can establish peace and decorum in the world, establish peace and resolve disputes, whatever disputes are there amongst the various countries, but it should be a member of United Nations that can be solved in this United Nations. Functions in a systematic manner. This is very important. Whatever the issues are there, what are the disputes are there, what all the global issues are there, all those are solved in a systematic manner. As we know, there are various organs of the United Nations, because we will see the further division and structure of United Nations in this chapter, in which we will be discussing there are various important agencies which are doing a particular work or promoting various important human activities around the world. Okay, and there are various organs of the United Nations, which is an important topic. As in the new revised syllabus, they have given us, we have to study the organs of the United Nations, and also they have given us few agencies. So we will be studying about few agencies also. Okay, so this is just the 3 points I have read. But before I explain you more points relating that why do we need United Nations, currently if I talk about the contemporary world politics, okay, so after the World War II, such international organization already was existing in the world. So after World War I, that is after 1914 to 1918, there was World War I. So after that there was a formation of an international body, that was League of Nations, which aim and objective was to stop war and to bring peace and decorum around the world. But this could not achieve its aims, and that is why it did not achieve the objectives for which it was established. And again World War II was occurred in 1939 to 1945. So when the World War II occurred, although they had formed League of Nations, a new international body, that was United Nations, that was established on 24th October 1945, because it could not fulfill the objectives for which it was established. So after the Second World War, there was the formation of new international body which is called UN, United Nations. All the nations have been united, they have a common platform, they all are the members of this, and there are various organs and various responsibilities of various members. For all that we shall be discussing in this chapter. So I will be reading more points from this. Why international organization? Because we must know, when we are talking about United Nations, why do we require, why do we need to talk and sit in some other countries, and we need to have negotiations with other countries as a common platform? First was, international organization does not work for a single country, it works for all the member countries. So this organization is established not for the solution or for not negotiations with one country or two countries, it is for all the member countries. Organizing functions in a systematic manner, which I have told you. They organize all the events in a systematic manner to resolve global issues with the help of various agencies. How they solve the various global issues around the world, how they find the negotiations, and how they find solution to the disputes between the member countries in a systematic manner. They have found various agencies who work in a particular fields. To establish peace. Next and the most important is to establish peace and to resolve dispute, tension, conflicts and war between countries. This is the first and the primary goal or the primary objective of United Nations, that they do not want that there should be a situation, an environment of war and disturbance or turmoil around the world. So they want to establish peace. They do not want tension and conflict in any part of the world amongst their member countries. For example, they are saying that how they resolve the disputes. Like there was a dispute between India and Pakistan. That was a river, Indus River, Indus River we had read in the last chapter. There was a dispute between India and Pakistan that was resolved by UN in 1960. So an agreement was signed between India and Pakistan. That is, who was the mediator? Mediator was World Bank, as we have read earlier. World Bank is also an important organ or agency of United Nations. So in this way, United Nations is interfering and trying to find a solution between the countries which are having long-term conflicts relating to river water or boundary issues or relating to ethnic conflicts. Okay, so these are some of the important functions I must say. And international organizations help in the matter of world and peace. They help in countries for cooperation. Okay, United Nations is also a platform where countries are coming up and they are finding a place where they can cooperate and they can discuss and find negotiations to create better living conditions all over the world, so that they can create a better living conditions for all the human beings around the world. And this is only possible when they will find a common platform where they can come and they can discuss, and there the function is systematic in manner. Okay. Usually nations can see there are some things they must do together. There are many things, many issues which all the countries think that alone, single-handedly, that problem cannot be solved. For that, all the major countries or all the member countries need to come and they need to put efforts all together to find a solution to the problems like global warming, epidemic, terrorism. These are the problems. If I talk about air pollution or noise pollution or river pollution, no single country can tackle this problem alone. So there should be an initiative, a common initiative from all the countries to find the problem. So that is the reasons I am studying that why we require international or the United Nations. Okay, so this is the purpose of United Nations. We find common platform relating to various events or the various issues globally. Like we talk of global warming as an example, and there can be many more. International organization or United Nations produce information ideas about how to cooperate and produce common platform to discuss contention issues and find peaceful solutions. This I have told you. They have very important mechanisms. They have drawn out various mechanisms where these countries are finding it easy to cooperate and find peaceful solution to the various problems. UN is generally regarded as the most important international organization. So when we talk about the international organization, United Nations is the current contemporary world is the most important international organization. So in this chapter we will be completely talking about United Nations, its organs, its agencies. Okay, and also in detail we will be talking about Security Council of United Nations, and why we need to expand it as relating to the new developing countries. So in this I will be taking the rest of the part from an NCERT book so that we will be able to mark the important points. Okay. So now continuing it from your NCERT book, and the topic is same, the why international organizations, where we'll understand what is the significance of having an international organization like UN. So various examples we have seen, but in detail we will see it from your NCERT book, as various examples are already given here. So read the two cartoons on the page. So two cartoons have been given in this page. I will show you now, just now. Both the cartoons comment on the ineffectiveness. So the two cartoons have been projected here to show the ineffectiveness. So we are trying to prove that United Nations or the international organization which was prevalent is ineffective in restricting the wars or restricting the wars in the contemporary world. So the United Nations usually refers to as the UN. The Libyan crisis of 2006, both the cartoons represent the kind of opinion that we often hear about the UN. So this is the type of the opinion we mostly hear about the United Nations, that it is ineffective, it is unable to stop the wars. If there is an international organization, it does not mean that there will be no war, no conflicts, no boundary issues, no ethnic confusions or conflicts between any countries. There will be problems, but this organization will always try to provide a platform where the things can be solved out through debates and negotiations, and provide better living conditions for the humans around the world. So we'll understand this further. On the other hand, we also find that UN is generally regarded as the most important international organization in the today's world. On the other hand, some people are there who recognize this United Nations as an international organization which is very important in today's words. They feel that it is very important to have it and its significance. In the eyes of many people all over the world, it is indispensable. Indispensable means without the United Nations we cannot survive. There cannot be coordination among the various nations in the modern time period, and represents the great hope of. And if we talk about the humanity, we talk about peace, progress, development, growth, that is all possible because of this centralized platform which is provided by United Nations as an international organization. Why do we then need organizations like UN? Let us hear two insiders. So there's a question, why do we need institutions like UN or the international organizations? So we'll see some of the important things here. The United Nations was not created to take humanity, and this can come for 2 marks or 3 marks, that who said these lines, so must remember them. The United Nations was not created to take humanity to heaven, but to save it from hell. It means we are human, and this United Nations were not created to take this humanity into heaven. We are humans, we will have to live on our own, but the work of United Nations was not to take us to the heaven, but just save us from hell. That is, it is there to provide, stop the wars, restrict the wars, and maintain peace and decorum around the world. So its purpose is this. Through this sentence we can understand the purpose of United Nations. This was said by Dag Hammarskjöld, the UN second Secretary General. So you must know who said these lines. Now the other thing, again you will have to see it carefully. Let me zoom the camera. Okay. Talking shop. So some people have called these United Nations as the talking shop, a place where people come and they just talk. Yes, there are a lot of speeches and meetings in the UN. So if you will visit UN, you will find a lot of speeches and meeting negotiations going on, and people are just talking, especially during the annual session of the General Assembly. But as Churchill put it, but Churchill has said that, you have to remember Churchill, he has put that jaw is better than war. When we speak, that is jaw. So he says jaw is much better than having a war. Okay, instead of having a war, we can come to this United Nations and we can find solutions through various negotiations and various debates here. So jaw is better than war. This was said by Churchill. Isn't it better to have one place where all countries in the world can get together, bore each other something with the words rather than bore holes into each other? They said it is much better that countries around the world, they have a common place where they can come and they can bore each other instead of listening to each other. Boring is much better instead of boring holes. It means instead of firing on each other, killing of people, it is much better that we just talk instead of having boring holes into each other's on the battlefield. This was said by the Shashi Tharoor. He was the former UN Under Secretary General for Communication and the Public Information. This was in this organ, or is this wing. So the the quotes which we have seen suggest something important. So what do we understand by these quotes which are in support of the UN, where we can find a platform where we can find solutions and negotiations of the conflicts? So it's much better to have a conversation here instead of going into the battlefield. International organizations are not the answer to everything. So here through these quotes we are trying to explain that international organization, that is UN, is not the answer to everything. We cannot blame United Nations for every mishappening around the world, but they are important. Because they are important, everything cannot be controlled by them. International organization help with the matters of war and peace, although they have been established to stop the Third World War and maintain peace and have growth and development around the world. But it does not mean that for everything you will blame international organization or the United Nations. They also help countries cooperate, because United Nations here help countries to cooperate to make better living conditions for all, because it is a platform where the countries will come and we can have solution to various problems, so that this world can become a better living place for all the humans. Countries have conflicts and differences with each other. That does not necessarily mean they must go to war. If the various countries have conflicts relating to water bodies or water sharing or boundary issues or whatever, it does not mean necessarily that they have to go to war to deal with their issues. There are various issues and there are various methods through which we can postpone these events. So those countries having problem, they can instead discuss the contentious means those causes of disagreement. That's the matter of disagreement can be discussed out, and issues can be found peaceful through peaceful solutions. Indeed, even though this is rarely noticed, most conflicts and differences are resolved without going to war. Okay, the role of the international organization can be important in this context. So when we talk about the role of the international organization, it becomes very important here when there is a conflict and issues of contention, means disagreement. In this case, international organizations plays an important role to find the peaceful solution between the two countries. An international organization is not a super state with authority over its member. If we talk that international organization, it does not mean it is a super state or it is very powerful, it can dominate over the other parts of the country. But this international organization is created by the its members, okay, it is created by and respond to the states. It comes into being when it is only established because most of the members have created it. If no member will support it, the United Nations will no more exist. Once created, it can help member state resolve their problems peacefully. So if we follow the instructions and ideas of international organization, we can have various solution to our problems peacefully. It means we get a platform where we can discuss all those issues. International organizations are helpful in another way. So now let's see what is another way. Nations can usually see that there are some things they must do together, but there are some situations and some problems which we see can be solved when we come together. Okay, what are those global issues? Basically, these are issues that are so challenging that they can only be dealt with even when everyone works together. No single country can handle it single-handedly, so we have all to come together. Like disease is an example for the coronavirus we have recently seen. Some diseases can only be eradicated if everyone in the world cooperate in inoculating or vaccinating their population. It is very familiar with the example which currently our world is facing of corona. So it is very important if we have to fight this disease. There are various protocols we have to follow it globally. As temperatures rise because of the increase in the greenhouse gases. Now this is another example where we all need to think together of the alarming challenges, where because of the increase in the greenhouse gases and increase in the temperature in the atmosphere, there is a danger that sea level will rise. So there is a danger where sea level can rise, and we need to decrease the use of these chlorofluorocarbons or the greenhouse gases, so that we can be out of this danger where the sea level water is increasing because of the melting of the glacier, because of the rise in the temperature. So thereby there is a danger to the submerging. Many coastal areas are in danger around the world, including huge cities, of course. Each country can try to find its own solution. Of course, in countries will find their own solution, but on the other way, it is also important for all the countries around the world to act all together. But in the end, a more effective approach is to stop the warming itself. This requires at least all the major industrial powers to cooperate. So if we have to increase or decrease the level of the greenhouse gases, so there should be a combined effort of all the industrial powers. They will have to cooperate. So a single country can do some efforts, but it cannot completely control this global issue. So there are various global issues where we saw and we realized that we need to have the common platform where we can come and discuss various global issues, not only relating to war, but these challenging upcoming situations and circumstances also. So here we are trying to understand the importance of United Nations or international organizations. Okay, so unfortunately we know, recognizing the need for cooperation and actually cooperating, when we require that there is a need to cooperate, but when we implement certain plans and we in reality start cooperating, these are the two different things. Realizing the need and actually cooperating, these are the two different things. Nations can recognize the need to cooperate but cannot always agree on how best to do so. Okay, nations will say yes, this is a problem and we need to come together, but there should be a proper plan that how we are going to do that, how we are going to execute some policies. So for that, at this time, I think United Nations comes into play here. See, I will read it further. So how to share the cost of cooperating? So there will be a question that whatever cost will be there, how we'll share the cost, how to make sure that the benefit of cooperating are justly divided, and how to ensure that others do not break. How will we ensure and how will we be sure that if I am following all the rules, all the protocols of something which we have planned to cooperate, and the share and the profit is equally shared, how will be ensured about it? So we must have faith and we should have some central authority for that. Okay, so we may think that someone can cheat on us, or we may sign the agreement and later on they can cheat on us. So in this way we will not be able to cooperate. But if we have an international organization, a common platform which can help to produce information, so because of that we will have to easy to become produce the information. We'll have various ideas about how to cooperate. So we'll have the structure and mechanism that how we're going to cooperate, what will be the funding, what will be the budget, how everyone will be getting the benefit out of the plan. So everything will be done by the mechanism in this particular international body. So here is the reason that why we require United Nations currently. It can provide mechanisms, rules, and a bureaucracy to help members have more confidence, so that we can have confidence. Yes, we are a team and we are doing some work for the good, for the whole world, for the humanity. That cost will be shared. Whatever cost will be there, it will be shared properly among all the members. All the benefits will also be shared equally. So we'll have the confidence instead of just having questions. So the profit will be fairly divided, and once a member joins an agreement, it will honor the term and conditions of the agreement. With the end of the Cold War, we can see that UN may have a slightly different role. But now after the, as we know, this was established in 1945. But if we talk about after the Cold War, that is after 1991, if we see the role of UN has changed, because if we talk about the contemporary world, we could see the dominance of US, that is United States, and its allies had emerged victorious. Because they had emerged victorious, so their power was even influencing the other countries around the world. There was a concern among many government and people that the Western countries led by the US would be so powerful. So there were various questions by the various countries and members that now the US and its allies, the countries following the Western alliance, they will become more powerful, and there would be no check against their wishes, and there will be no check and balance on their activities, on their desires. So the question has been put, can the UN serve to promote dialogue and discussion with the US in the particular? So will the UN will be important player to negotiate on various matters with the US, and could it limit the power, or can UN limit the power of the United States? So we shall try to answer this question at the end of the chapter. So relating to UN and the relationship between UN and US, we'll talk about at the last of this chapter. But in the next lecture, we'll talk about the evolution of the UN. That is after 1945, how its structures have changed with the new circumstances and new challenges, and what are the need of the and the demand of the various member countries around the world. So we'll discuss about all that, and also important topic would be what are the important principal organs. We'll discuss that in the next video. Till then, thank you.